In this video, I'm continuing my post-rock mix using the AIR Creative Effects Collection Plus. If you missed the previous video, there's a link in the description. And if you want to check out these plugins, there's a link in the description. Anything you purchase through that link will help the channel. All right, so coming back into this after a break, I hit play and then I found something that I wanted to clean up before we kind of get into mixing this. That's these kick drum overdubs and with a click. Nothing else is really quantized, but these drums are pretty tight on the grid, and this overdub is just not. It's just too loose. I've got these grouped, and I have auto crossfade on split enabled. I have my snap to grid turned off. I'm just gonna split and adjust these by holding down Option and dragging. So this doesn't take too long to do. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to be a little more consistent. So the other thing I did is just go through and put in markers at some of the key moments in the song. So it's just easier to jump through either with my controller or with the keyboard. Or be able to double click and make a selection for a particular moment. It's not really a verse or chorus in the song, but here's how everything sounds at this point. And that's where I want to stop it, actually. So right there, snap to the grid. But I just want like a hard stop right there. I think that's going to be the most effective. Let's select these and let's split, mute. Let's hear that. I think a sudden stop is going to be the most effective sort of ending. Okay, there's a couple things I was thinking about as I went through that. Where was it? Here. The bass, I'm thinking a chorus on this on the amp track. Let's try this AIR chorus. All right, and I'm going to put on a compressor for this bass altogether. It's tube drive. I don't remember what this one's like. Yeah, we'll probably need a compressor as well, though. All right, so threshold down 0. Start this like this. All right, let's check the distorted section. All right, let's go back to this bass. How does it sound without effects? And with effects? In this section. Cool. I like all of that with the bass. Going back to the drums. Probably saw me playing around with the drums at the end of the song. So I'm just going to set this track to a automation write mode. Automation write modes would be touch mode, latch mode, or write mode. So I'm going to put it on latch mode. And as I play this, you can see here, automation lane popped up. Right there is where is the starting point. And so as this plays, I'm just going to adjust this and it's going to write in all my changes. I'm using a control surface for this, but you could absolutely use a mouse. There's just one of those I messed up. This one, the first one, I think. Yeah, I want that just steady there. Let's actually process these drums and let's think about a sort of a top-down mixing approach. Everything's sounding pretty decent because of the way these were recorded. It seems like they knew what they wanted and how to get it, and they probably experimented a lot with different effects and different guitars, different amps, different mics to get particular sound. Unfortunately, there's not really any master limiters with the Air bundle. There's the maximizer, but it's not very clean. It's a little bit extreme. So, like if I set this ceiling at 1, if the knee is on hard, it's still going to add a volume boost. And it's going to be compressing a lot. Threshold's at 0. It's not going above 0, but it's loud. You can put it on soft knee. and there's no volume boost there. But I'm gonna put on hard knee, and then I guess I'll put on some other plugin from AIR just to manage that. Don't know which plugins have an input and output control. I guess the EQ. Yeah, I'll put the parametric EQ before, and I'll just turn this down until I'm not really seeing any gain reduction here. Now let's try to get a bit of vibe on these drums in this section using the compressor. I should really just set up a starting point with this because it's always wrong here. So, I don't know. Set it at 3 milliseconds and release at like 30, 4:1, and half smooth. And I'll just set this as a starting point. This compressor is just so extreme and kind of it's pretty tricky to get something that's not audible. Like if you want really transparent compression with this one, it's not easy. It would probably be pretty cool for room mic smashing, but if just like trying to get the kick compressed enough and have the snare compressed enough without destroying the kick, again, it's really tricky. Let's go back to the start of this. So I'm hearing like a crunch on the beginning of that kick now. I just turn off these room mics. Okay, so that's not so bad. All right, so I'm just going to try to get a little bit more of a character on this kick in. It's not really cutting through, and I think it just needs a bit of attack. I'm going to set the high to a bell and probably just a bit of a boost here. So as I added any bass here at all with the low frequency EQ, it was blowing out the compressor. So I didn't want that. Kick, snare. Hi-hat. Hi-hat's playing in this section. All right, so let's try that compressor and go for an obvious effect this time. Here's without the effects. Let's try to blend that in. Okay. I'm actually going to take all of these points here and just trim them down. Oops. Need the selection off. Just a little bit. The snare needs to go to a reverb. Quickest way to do this is to right click on the routing button and then go to sends and then find that track, which will be reverb 2. And go to my effects tracks, which I do not have a track for effects yet. So go to all tracks and my effects are here. So I'll just make a folder for this. Call this effects bus. I need a reverb. And we should just have snare on this track. I do have to say that these toms are kind of weird here. You sort of just get a hum. It's not great. So let's reset this and see if we can kind of get a little bit of clarity from this. So probably work in the low mid section. So I'm basically cutting the fundamental because it's just ringing out really weirdly. I guess you don't want to do it too much. And back to this other one. If I had access to Trigger for this mix, I would definitely put in samples there. They're just bigger. All right, let's process these. You know what? I'm just going to take the drum processing, that compressor from the drums, put that on here. It's not doing a lot yet. No effects on the drums. With effects. Okay, those need to go to the reverb. Let's do reverb 2. Lots of reverb. Fine with me. Oh yeah, there was this special effect. That's already sounding better with that. Let's put in something like a tube drive. That's cool. Let's also put in the stereo width. This is a special effect, so I don't mind doing a little bit of a push out with more stereo width. Okay, let's hear that with the drums. All right, bells. We'll go to the first reverb. All right, this one is going to that first reverb. What about this one? That one's going to the first reverb. All right, right here, I'm just gonna do a little nudge down because there's extra guitars that come in here. It's not much, but turning down all the guitars, I think, was exactly what was needed there. Curious about editing this right tight to the grid line. Not a big difference, but I'll put it back the way it was. Right there's fine. Again, here, more guitars come in. All right, so something's gone off there. I think maybe it's the percussion track. I'll turn these way down. Turn them off. Not really working out the way they intended, I think. It doesn't really build, and I think that was the intention. So what if I do a fade like that? Sure. Yep, that's better. I need like a isolated snare. I don't know if there are any. That'll work. Actually, this will work better. We'll take this, come out of the group. What am I doing here? I'm going to take, I guess just the snare top. Copy the selected area. I'm going to go down to, where is that? Here, and put it on this track. I'll mute these. I got lost there in that list. Using the EQ to kind of shape this distortion. All right, well, that'll have to do. What I'm thinking here is that as these other guitars come in at marker 2, I'm going to have to remove something. No, I've got the keys bus inside of the guitar bus and the vocals inside of the guitar bus. What is going on to make this last in folder? Okay. All right, what's going on with those snares? Those sound off. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to automate this really noisy. I feel like that should have like some ambience on it. So let's send that also to Reverb 2. All right, so setting both of these to latch mode. Same thing for the other parts of the song, I think. Other than this getting noisy here, I kind of like how that builds up and it gets noisy and more chaotic. Through here, most of the time, it's probably not even really noticeable, these automation. Going between -7 and -4. But it makes me feel like I've done something. Yeah, that one's just too loud. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. I'm just gonna let it play through, and then we'll go into the end of the video. I forgot to send one of those effects into the reverb. This one here. This should have sent into one of the reverbs. Screw it, I'll send it to both. And then at the end, I will automate the effects bus to completely shut off right here. Cool. And then I'll put in another marker for the end. All right, final thoughts on the actual effects. The AIR effects, I think it's a good bundle to add to what you have in Reaper. You get a couple different choruses, you get some different saturations. There's that one, there's the spectral effect. Lots of weird stuff in there. For just basic effects like the compressor, the parametric EQ, they're so much different from the ones in Reaper that it's really tough to compare. If you prefer to use knobs instead of the graph in ReEQ, then this would be obviously better. Having the dedicated high cut and low cut with on-offs and different filter steepness, that's really nice. In my opinion, it's not a better EQ. And for me, that was slowing me down quite a bit. Some of my favorite effects I didn't really get to use in this mix, so it wasn't really appropriate. I think one of my favorites is actually the AIR Pumper. This one is quite cool for rhythmic pumping effects. The Duck plugin that I featured on the blog earlier this year has replaced this for me, but it's still a pretty cool effect to have. There's lots of different delays, like the diffuser delay and the multi-delay and the dynamic delay. There's all these different effects. With this mix, I'm at a point where I don't feel like I'm going to make any sort of breakthrough or like major change anymore. So I'm just going to leave it for now. And because this video has gone for like 2.5 hours of recording, I gotta have to end it at some point and then edit it all before tomorrow so you can watch it. And that's where I'm going to leave it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see me do more of these videos, please leave a like and comment down below. If you want to try out these AIR Creative Effects Collection bundle plugins, there's a link in the description that is an affiliate link, and that will help support the channel as well. Aside from that, you can follow me on Facebook and Twitter. You can join our Facebook group, Reaper Blog Community. You can support the Reaper blog through Patreon and visit reaperblog.net for a lot more tutorials. See you later.